Maybe, like me, you're already a fan of eating lamb, or maybe you're new to it and curious about what it tastes like. Either way, there's a new product we've discovered that's fully cooked lamb products in the style of charcuterie or deli. This is a special podcast doing double duty. I'm Courtney Drake McDonough, the host of both the Colorado-based In Good Taste Denver podcast and the international Real Food Traveler podcast. When I heard that these delicious lamb products were not only coming to Colorado, but were also available across the country in stores and in restaurants, I wanted to make sure all of our listeners could learn more about it. My guest is the CEO of the brand Aussie Select.
Hi there. I am Jacqueline Oyola. I am the CEO of the company World Select Cuts and the brand Aussie Select.
Great. Thanks so much for being with us today, Jacqueline. I'm a big fan of lamb. I grew up having lamb a lot. My mother's side of the family was Lebanese, and it was very common to have lamb as an ingredient in a lot of dishes. So I was really eager to try your products, which I've had the opportunity to. Thank you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But can you give us a basic description of what the business is?
Absolutely. We are bringing to market the country's, and I might posit the world's, first fully cooked lamb products in the style of charcuterie or deli. We make a lamb pastrami. We make an agave rosemary lamb, we make a tikka masala lamb, and then a lamb prime rib. And they are available for both retail consumer purchase as well as in food service. So that would be restaurants, hotels, country clubs, etc.
Are the products available now in Colorado?
They are, and I think that that's so exciting. And I think how you got introduced to them as well. We are brand new into Colorado, working with a couple of distribution partners in the market, and available both in both those contexts. So retail stores, Pete's Fruits and Vegetables, Atlas Valley Purveyors, Village Market, the market at Telluride and Ridgeway. And then coming soon to Lever's Locavore, Nature's Oasis, Pine Melon, the market at Beaver Creek, hopefully many, many more. And then in food service, for those who are coming into town and staying at hotel properties or want to go visit these fantastic food service establishment, we are at the Brown Palace Hotel, Clayton Members Club, the Art Hotel, Panzano Hotel Monaco, as well as the Slate Hotel.
So when you're in these restaurants or when your products are in these restaurants, are you giving them freedom to do with them what they want or what? Like how would we know that we're having your products when we go there?
So I think that that's the beauty of food service, and that chefs are finding such inspiration in just a very easy to use, consistent, delicious, sustainable lamb product, is what do they want to do with it? It has versatility across breakfast, lunch, catering menus, etc. How would you know that it was mine? You probably wouldn't know that it was Aussie Select, except for the fact that we're the only ones that make products like this, so it would have to be ours. It might just say lamb pastrami Reuben sandwich, or flatbread pizza with lamb ham. Sometimes restaurants can cure and make their own products locally, so they might be doing that in the establishment, but my hope is that the likelihood is that they'll be mine if you're in the Denver area.
Okay, all right. I'm intrigued by the fact that you say this is the world's first prepared, fully cooked product. So how did you get into the business, and what led you to be wanting to do this particular product in America?
Yeah, it's a funny long journey of a story, and I should say, there are definitely lamb small goods that local purveyors make in their local small artisan shops, etc. We are the first ones that are doing it on a mass scale. You might come across a restaurant that will make a lamb pastrami just like they would a salmon pastrami or something like that, pastrami being a format, but we're the first ones that have done it nationwide and packaged it up and distributed it for mass consumption. How did I get into it? Well, I have been working with the Australian red meat industry for about 15 years in my also career. When I'm not wearing this CEO of a lamb charcuterie hat, I run a food and beverage marketing agency out of Atlanta, and the red meat industry of Australia has been my client for approximately 15 years. And through that work, I fell in love with the provenance of the products, the people that make them, the sustainability story. And I became very attuned to the market opportunity for bringing lamb to more people by making it approachable and more accessible, quite frankly. We know that Americans love lamb. We don't eat it as much as people do around the world because oftentimes, these generations, we didn't grow up with it. We're a little bit afraid to cook it. We don't want to mess it up. It can be pricey. We might save it for a special occasion like Easter or Christmas when lamb sales tend to go higher than throughout the rest of the year. And my hypothesis, the hypothesis at the deli counter was, if we do this to lamb, like all of these other proteins have done with their meats and fully cook it and put it into a sliceable sandwich, deli, charcuterie format, could we do for lamb what turkey deli meat did for turkey and make it more than just about the holidays? So that is where I am. 5 years later, we validated the concept. We have a fantastic team. My corporate chefs, work on the recipes has been fantastic. And after we tested it with both consumers and potential chef buyers, we realized we had something. It's only been made more exciting. I don't know if that's the right word. Post-COVID, labor is tough. It's hard to find people. Especially in food service, ready to go, consistent quality products are important. Restaurants, hotels, et cetera, need items like that in order to help them be successful. And so leaning in to a ready to eat lamb product for them is a really, it's a benefit to helping their business. And then also charcuterie boomed after COVID. Mom and pop charcuterie shops started popping up, Instagram influencers doing charcuterie. We're in this kind of charcuterie renaissance. You've seen charcuterie go from meat boards to butter boards to anything that you can put on a board. And we're in that kind of era. And so our products are really playing into that as well. It's a better for you, non-pork option to put onto a charcuterie board. And so from a retail perspective, it's successful from that side as well.
Interesting. Now, I've talked to other countries' producers of lamb, and as you'd expect, they say theirs is the best. So I want to give you a chance to explain why Aussie lamb in particular, what's so great about it.
Yeah, and I think, of course, I'm going to say that we procure the best lamb in the world. That's not to say there is not other fantastic lamb in other places. Ranchers, farmers that are doing right by the animals, right by the land, and that are producing an equivalent great product. Right there in Colorado, right where you are, that is absolutely happening. For us and for me, well, first of all, my daughter's name is Sydney. My dog's name is Taz. I'm all in on all things Australia, even before I started this company and fell in love with the industry. So there's that. But joking aside, Australia's sustainability story, bar none, is the strongest in the world. Their red meat industry has really invested in environmental practices to benefit the earth. The lamb industry is climate neutral. It's poised for carbon neutrality by 2030. The animal welfare leads the class globally. Practices that are happening on farm, from water management to reinvesting in the soil, et cetera. It's just a very, very impressive industry. So you couple what I've learned about Australian lamb specifically with my love of Australia anyway, with the fact that there is a consistent, large supply. Australia is the #1 importer of lamb to America, and I believe the #1 supplier of lamb in America. Domestic comes second. So there's a lot of lamb over there. So we have consistent and ample supply, as well as all of the other credentials that I've already talked about.
Wow, very interesting.
And it's delicious. I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Tender, delicious.
Now, obviously, you and I are talking today because your product's coming to Colorado. But before we talk about that, or it's in Colorado, where else in the country are your products available?
Sure. So we are available nationwide. I love to say that first and foremost. Anybody can find us online. My website is aussieselect.com. You can buy it directly from me. If you Google us, you can also find us at several other direct-to-consumer websites where you can purchase it and have it shipped directly to your home. It's less expensive to buy it locally with one of the Denver purveyors that I mentioned earlier, just because we don't have to pay for shipping, dry ice, all of that fact. It's just, if you can go local, go buy it there. But if you've got family, if you're not in Denver, you can just buy it directly from one of the direct-to-consumer sites. We're also working to drive distribution in other key markets. I'm talking to retailers every day about bringing the products in. We had a fantastic run at Costco in the Southeast, which is where I'm based this past summer, and hoping to get that going. They like to do in and outs, so trying to get that going again. We've been in Texas with HEB, heading up to Boston in early January to try to drive some penetration there, and in New York City. So a little bit all over the place, but really targeting key lamb consumption cities, just like Denver.
And so that's interesting to me. It's not just the more boutique, for lack of a better word, purveyors, but also Costco, like you said, and HEB. So, big chains.
Big chains and anywhere that there's I didn't mention this, but one of the great qualities of our products is that they're 100% halal certified. The all Australian lamb is halal certified already, and we're maintaining that chain here with our practices in producing the product. So we import the lamb raw from Australia, and then we make it here in the United States in the Midwest. And so we're maintaining that halal chain. So yeah, also areas with significant halal representation are interesting and targets of ours.
Okay. So what makes you, well, I know you're nationwide, but what makes you decide what cities to go into and what states, and including Colorado in particular?
Like I said, I've worked with the Australian lamb industry for a really long time. So I have a lot of fantastic data at hand, which tells me where lamb consumers tend to live, where people are eating the most amount of lamb in the United States. And so I'm fairly guided by that research. And then I'm also guided by opportunity. When there's a really great person that lives in a great city and can help me gain access, I'm only one person. I can't be everywhere. I lean into a fantastic team. My salesperson in your city in Denver, his name is Eric, and he's been spectacular in gaining traction there. So where I have an Eric, I have a market.
Okay. All right. And I've gotten to meet Eric. He is a wonderful representative for you, for sure. Have you found that there's something of a learning curve involved in encouraging people to eat lamb?
Learning curve, maybe not a learning curve. I think that there's a resistance by some people. You meet two people. You meet the lamb lover who can't get enough of it and sees your product and says, I love lamb. I'm so excited to see this. I want to eat it all the time. This is making it so much more accessible. All the reasons why we, thought that the product should exist. And then you find, I'll call them the lamb disliker. Oh no, they put up their hands. I don't want to try. I don't, unless they're a vegetarian. I don't eat lamb. I don't like it. I find it gamey. I've not had a good experience. If I can get that person to try the product, I'm gonna go and say 9 times out of 10, it's a home run. Is this what lamb tastes like? I haven't had lamb like this before. So I think our product is a bit of a gateway for those people into the lamb category, to help them realize that lamb is delicious and can be delicious. And maybe you just haven't had a good experience with lamb, just like you probably have had bad experiences with lots of other foods. That happens. And so if we can bring people back into the category through the gateway of lamb pastrami, I'm all for it. So yes, slight resistance if it's a lamb disliker, but lamb lovers for the most part are all in. There's been some folks in my world that have served our product to people and not told them it was lamb until afterwards. And people are always very surprised. I didn't think I liked lamb. I never would have known. I like to say, if you love lamb and you've tried it, you can tell me if this is true or not. I tell people, if you love lamb, you can taste the lamb. You can get lamb out of the products. But if you don't, the other flavors that are present, the fact that it's Australian and it's very lean and tender and mild, and the fact that it's thinly sliced, all of the qualities of the product, you don't have to get lamb out of it. If you don't want that, all of those kind of preconceived, the things you don't like about lamb are really mild by comparison and almost hidden by the other qualities of the products that come out. So if you want the lamb, you can find it, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, like, I think a perfect example of that was the pastrami.
Hmm.
Because obviously I knew I was eating lamb. I made the sandwich, but um, it was just like, this is the best pastrami I've ever had.
Right,
It was that kind of thing. It didn't scream, oh, this tastes really different than anything I've ever had. It was just extra good.
right.
So,
Yeah, I love that. I find the lamb qualities, those tried and true flavor cues that lamb delivers to the palate come through when the product is heated more than when it's served chilled, as with probably a lot of foods. So if you want
mhm,
that lamb flavor, go throw it in a skillet. Well, you ate it with your eggs, you were telling me earlier, so
mhm,
you probably got a little bit more lamb out of it when it was heated up.
yeah. So I want to ask about two of the products in particular, the pastrami
Mhm.
and the lamb ham. So with pastrami, and I don't really know, I'm ashamed to say, but I bet some of our listeners won't either. What makes pastrami pastrami?
So it's a flavor profile. So you've got your pepper. My chef would be cringing if he heard me answering this question right now. This is why I employ people who are better than me at these types of things. But it's the cure, the brine, and that pepper taste that you get out of it. Our product has some brown sugar with it as well, so you get a little bit of a sweetness kick too. Not all pastrami's have that. Our recipe does. Which again, is a personal preference if you like that or not. But yeah, it was interesting when we were working with the USDA on all of our label approvals, et cetera. It was a question that came up. Can you call this pastrami? It's not made from beef. It's made from lamb, and yes, you can. There's not a standard of identity, so to speak, from pastrami that it has to be a beef product, which is why you're also seeing salmon pastrami's and things. Pastrami as a flavor profile is certainly trending, and it is not hurting us at all.
Okay, okay. And lamb ham, what makes it ham?
Yep. So our tikka masala and our agave rosemary are both technically our lamb hams. We have relabeled them. So I think the products that are on shelf right now just call them sliced lamb. So agave rosemary sliced lamb and tikka masala sliced lamb. We removed the ham from the label because we found it confusing to our halal customers. Is this ham? Ham is a little bit of a different word. Again, no standard of identity that it has to be pork, but it's almost always pork, right? Except for when it's lamb, it's pork. And so it was creating some consumer confusion, and we decided to move away from the word. But in answer to your question, again, it's the cook style, it's how it eats, it's the brine. And I believe that ham has to come from the hind side of an animal. I believe in our case, it's the legs. We make our lamb from lamb leg. I think a ham has to come from the hind side of an animal. But again, don't quote me on that.
Okay. So with the agave rosemary and the tikka masala, are those were lamb ham and just
Correct. They
thinly
do eat
sliced
like a
and
ham. Yes.
okay, okay.
They eat like a ham. If you love ham, you'll get ham out of the how it's eating in your mouth. But we have struck the word ham from the label.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. So if someone is new to lamb and also new to your products, do you feel like there's a good gateway or introductory product of yours for them to try first?
The question I'm always asked when I'm at a food show is, I've eaten so much today. I'm only going to try one. Which one should I have? And there's no good answer. I mean, it sounds like it sounds like marketing jargon. But honestly, if I had a board behind me and I put a little tick mark against each flavor that somebody told me was their favorite, at the end of the day, I would probably be, 25, 25, 25, and 25. I would say to somebody, lean into the flavor profile that resonates most with you. If you like sweetness and the herbaceousness of rosemary, the agave rosemary is your product. If you like peppercorn, and that peppery pastrami, crunch, obviously the pastrami. Uh, we do have a prime rib, a lamb prime rib product. I didn't mention earlier, it's only available in food service. That one is not available through the retail stores, so that would have to be found on a restaurant menu. That one it has no much less cure in it, so it eats more like a prime rib and less like a deli meat. It makes a fantastic French dip sandwich, lamb French dip sandwich. Incidentally, I tell people if you want the cleanest, I just want to taste the lamb, that's just salt and pepper, and that'll give you that. And then finally, my favorite is the tikka masala. I love a little bit of spice. It's so interesting. The spices really play well with the dynamic of the lamb flavor for me. But some people aren't spice people, and that's not for them. So, as far as what to try first, really it depends on the person and the types of flavors that they like the best. But all of them are
Okay.
spectacular. For all my
Okay,
babies.
great. And I have to all your babies. And I have to be honest, I haven't tried the tiki masala yet because we were going out of town. We're out of town today. And I did try three other products, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I just, couldn't fit that one in. So that's in the freezer and they do freeze, which is great. And so when we get back in town, that will be the next one I try. But yeah, I was impressed to see that flavor profile. So, and I love Indian food, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's delicious. If you're doing a sampling of all four, eat it last, because the tikka lingers. And so I tell people to try that one last. But to the point of freezing, they freeze exceptionally well. I had a consumer in Florida contact me one day. She had bought every last package that her Costco location had, when the pastrami was there, and she had just run out. She said to me, I had it all frozen and I was pulling one pack at a time out of my freezer and now they're gone. And how can I get more? So it worked for her. It will work for you.
Okay, good to hear. What are some of your personal favorite? I know you just said the tiki masala, but what are some of your favorite ways to enjoy the products?
I love it on a flatbread. I think it's so dynamic and interesting. You can do it sliced or you can do it just cubed up, almost like a lardone style, on top of a flatbread instead of bacon, instead of pepperoni. It just brings a nice new and interesting flavor profile to pizzas and flatbreads. That's a favorite. It's also delicious mixed into pastas. I loved hearing about your breakfast experiment. You said you had grown up eating eggs with lamb. It is delicious with eggs. I tell people that a lot, actually, especially for a breakfast occasion. There's a hotel in Florida that's doing it in a breakfast burrito. So they all kind of skilleted together and then rolled up in a flour tortilla, and that has worked really well for them. So outside of the box, it's fantastic out of the package on a charcuterie board, but the more that you enjoy it and play with it, the possibilities are really endless.
You said something just now about the breakfast burritos, which made me think, do you have chefs share what they're doing with the product across the country just to sort of help inspire each other?
100%. I
Oh,
have a
good.
whole presentation of culinary inspirations that I've seen, and there's several recipes and photos on our website, aussieselect.com. And yeah, I'm happy for anybody that wants to reach out to me directly through the website, if they're looking for other ideas beyond what they can find on the website, to share some of my favorites. And you too, send me the photos of what you've made and the things that you do when you're playing with it. Uh, as I said, they're all my babies. And as an entrepreneur, that type of activity is what gets me up every day. That's why we did this, was to bring this product to the people. And so finding out then what people do with it is kind of the center of my happiness.
All right. Well, so now this is a perfect point for me to tell you what I did with my day of lamb eating yesterday. So for breakfast, I shredded up a couple of slices of rosemary agave as I was scrambling eggs, and that was absolutely delicious. And I just wish I'd had some of my grandmother's flatbread. That would have been really wonderful to go with it. And at lunch, I specifically went out to buy a good loaf of rye bread to make a sandwich. And I purposely did not do lettuce and tomato and things I normally would because I really wanted to be able to taste the flavor of the pastrami. So I just did a tiny bit of mayonnaise on this lovely rye bread, and it was delicious. I loved the texture too. It had just the tiniest bit of pull to it, but it was still super tender. And then at night, we made the lamb ham and served it with potatoes and broccoli and a big salad. And it was very good too, and an interesting texture because it is like a small ham and you are slicing it. And I would suggest slicing it thin. Like I was going for sort of spirals cut ham's thickness. And I think I would do it even thinner next time. It was still perfectly tender, but I just think I would like that, slightly more ribbony kind of texture, for serving it that way. Yeah, it was all delicious and all different. So I'm looking forward to experimenting a little bit more with it. So let's wrap up by again repeating, if you would, where people can find it in Colorado, and if people are listening from anywhere in the US, how they can get information on finding it where they live.
Sure. So hopefully new news every day in Denver as Eric does his job well. But currently, according to the latest list I have, in retail, we are at Pete's Fruits and Vegetables in Denver, Atlas Valley Purveyors in Lafayette, Village Market Edwards, Village Market Telluride, the Market at Telluride, and the Market at Ridgeway. And then coming soon, Lever's Locavore in Denver, Nature's Oasis in Durango, Pine Melon, the Denver area with home delivery service, and the Market at Beaver Creek. And then, of course, food service, Brown Palace, Clayton Members Club, Art Hotel, Hotel Monaco, Panzano, and the Slate Hotel.
Great. And if people are elsewhere in the US,
www.aussieselect.com, AUSSIESELECT.com. You can buy it directly from us. And you can also Google Aussie Select. You'll find lots of fantastic articles. Hopefully will come up for you about other folks just like you that have tried it and enjoyed it, but also several other direct-to-consumer small goods style websites where you can buy it from.
And what if somebody has a favorite store that they really wish would carry your products? What should they do?
They should tell their store manager or go to that store's website and send a customer service request and ask it. Thank you for asking that question. That, as a small business, I'm a small women-owned business. And like I said, I can't be everywhere all the time. And sometimes it takes that type of consumer feedback and grassroots effort to make something happen. It's nothing small. Everyone's message matters, and if there's several people in a key market, or that's all landing in a buyer's inbox, that can make a difference. Oftentimes I'm told by buyers, I don't know, nobody's really asked me for lamb before. And I said, well, of course they haven't. They don't know that it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Open your eyes, try something new, take a gamble. So let's change that perspective. And now let's have people starting to ask for it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for providing some products to me so that I could try them ahead of being able to talk today. They really were wonderful, and I'm excited for all the ways that people are going to be able to enjoy the product at home and to be able to go to those restaurants. I happen to love a lot of those restaurants you listed off, so that'll be easy, and I'll be curious to see what their interpretation is of how they want to serve it. So that's fun.
I love it. Thank you so much for the fantastic questions and the conversation and for having me. Anybody can follow us on our journey at Aussie Select on Instagram, and share your photos, your finds. If you're a listener and you're going to one of those spots and order it off the menu, take a picture and send it to me. I would love to see it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jacqueline Oyola of Brand Select Cuts and the Aussie Select brand, and that you'll look for the company's products in your local stores and restaurants. Both the In Good Taste Denver and Real Food Traveler podcasts can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Overcast, Amazon, and wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.